Good afternoon. My name is Jim Conlan, and welcome to the latest episode of our entertainment show. As you know, in each week in our entertainment show, in part 3 of the show, we premiere a new TV series or movie that's debuting in Ireland and the UK, and especially Ireland for this upcoming month. And up for discussion this evening, it's a Batman world. It's the whole DC Comics world, and it's the whole world of Gotham and Gotham City. It's a new animated cartoon movie that's out for discussion this week. Batman the Doom that came to Gotham, and it's about an ancient evil that awakens, and only Bruce Wayne can save a 1920s Gotham from forces that have history in Gotham that are trying to come back and bring an awful lot of doom and, dare I say the word doom, to Gotham. And it stars an all-star cast in terms of voice-overing these characters. David Giuntoli voices Batman. Tati Gabrielle voices the character Kylie Chung. Patrick Fabian voices the character Harvey Dent. David Giuntoli voices the character Grendon. John DiMaggio voices the character James Gordon. And our special guest this evening, you might recognize him. He was the face for many a season in the sci-fi classic Star Trek Voyager as the role of Tuvok, and he's also appeared in other movies such as Spaceballs as well. He's the one and only Tim Russ. He voices the character Lucius Fox in Batman, the Doom that comes to Gotham. And I suppose, Tim, first of all, many people will recognize you from the sci-fi world in terms of Tuvok and your role on such a long historic sort of show, and a symbol of being involved in Star Trek. But dare I say, do you like this voicing, being involved in films and movies or projects that deal with the superhero element world as well? Your Supermans, your Batmans, your Spider-Mans. Was that something that you hadn't done so far in your career that you feel that, yeah, I need to tick this out of the resume in terms of getting into the future, the superhero world?
Look, you know what? It doesn't, the genre is not the issue. The genre is never the issue. If you're an actor, you're going to take the roles that come your way, especially if you're right for them, and you feel comfortable in them. I was raised on the superheroes, like a lot of young folks. I read the comic books, and I've watched the TV shows, and I've watched the films. So, the Marvel universe, the DC universe, it's all good with me. I enjoy that genre. I enjoy the projects. So if they call me to work on something like Spider-Man, I worked on a while ago, and or Batman, and playing the role on camera in Superwoman, I'm going to go ahead and do that in a heartbeat. There's no second thought about it, especially if if the part is right, if the role is right, and I like what's going on with it. I'll be there front and center.
And Tim, as an established actor in part of has been in the business now for decades, dare I say, in terms of animated work and animated movies, and in terms of voiceover work, was that something that even appealed to you in your younger days when you were back in the 90s and when things were busy for you? Would you have give a second glance to voiceover work or animated work? Or as an actor, do you feel that there's a certain passion or there's a certain talent that comes with doing voiceover work as well? Do you feel that it's just as important to give back, to be the voice of these characters rather than showing your face the whole time?
The voiceover work began when I was on Voyager, while I was on Voyager. That's, I believe, is when I started doing, at the time it was audiobooks. I began doing audiobooks. I did about 4 or 5 of them. And let me tell you, that's a lot of heavy lifting, and a very lonely sort of time and hours in the studio. They offered me at the time also Spider-Man to do the VO work for it, and that was a wake-up call because doing the narration for audiobooks is one thing, but doing an animated character, definitely very different. I had not done any voiceover work prior to that. I had only done on-camera work. So the voiceover work, when I was first hired to do this role in the other project, Spider-Man, that was a wake-up call, because you have to adjust your performance so that it's focused only on your voice and the inflections of your voice and the nuances of your voice and the emotion of your voice. It's 100% based on just what you sound like and say. So no, you don't have the camera to read your face. You don't have the camera to read your expression. And so everything has to be emphasized. Every note, every beat, every phrase, every word has to be emphasized with the emotion or the attitude or the nuance that you need in order to convey that emotion, because people are only hearing the voice in some cases, and it's being animated to another character, which is not a human face. So it's very tricky business. I was not aware of what that difference was until after I had worked on that project.
And I suppose, Tim, I'm going to bring up an interesting topic. I suppose I spoke to an actress there last night, Vanessa van der Flim, and I asked her about looking back and seeing about her roles in sort of previous movies and previous TV screens. Did she like to look back on her work? And she said she didn't, because she felt she was a perfectionist. She'd be self-criticizing herself on every bit of aspects that the viewer or the audience member mightn't see, but she'd pull herself up on that. I suppose an actor being established in the business as long time as yourself, do you feel that you only like to watch back on screen camera roles, or do you watch back animated roles and sort of stuff like that? Are you a constant profession, or do you like looking back at stuff, or is always move forward? Do you like watching yourself in your own work?
Yeah, I have watched my performance on a number of projects that I've worked on, primarily because in some of those cases I wanted to grab the footage from those things and cut those pieces into my demo reel. You have to have a demo reel that's updated all the time. So I have to watch the performances that I've done in the past to be able to grab those pieces. So I'm going to see them. It does not bother me to look at them as long as, I'm happy with the work that's done and how they came off. Yes, we can all be more critical about what we do. As artists, we're never satisfied. That's an ongoing sort of mantra. But I will look at the stuff that I've done before, and I will look ahead. And sometimes, it works both ways. Sometimes I'm very pleased with what I did, or if it's far enough in the past, I'm wondering, wow, I don't remember, how I felt when I did that, but it seems like it was that I'm wondering if down the line in the future, as the other actress is talking about in the future, I'll be able to come up to the same mark that I might have had 10 or 20 years ago. When am I going to be able to hit that note or hit that level in a role the same way that I might have had back then? I sometimes wonder about that. If there's a part coming down the line that's really challenging, I want to be able to deliver that same intensity as I did before. So yeah, I will see the pieces, and sometimes I will notice you look very critically at the nuances, the beats for on-camera work. You look at the little, things that you do. It might be a beat, it might be a pause, might be an inflection, something that you're looking at. You do pick up on those things every once in a while. But when I filmed them, I was happy with the take and they used a good take, then usually it's all right and it comes off pretty well. So not too bad.
And Tim, I know there's an awful lot of research as actors that you do in terms of on-screen sort of work, in terms of looking maybe the plot or the history or what's done before in terms of the character. But in terms of animated work now, is it the same sort of thing, or is it just protecting your voice? Are you looking back to see yourself, well, Gotham or The Dark Knight, how did such and such an actor voice Lucius Fox, or how did it, or are you thinking to yourself, right, I'm just going to go in there, pitch my voice, see what the reaction is going to be? I know on screen that you, as actors, you research the roles and previous incarnations of what actors have done, but is it different in terms of voiceover work?
Yeah, it is not that different in terms of if you're playing a character that's already been established. So if it's a character that has been established, yes, I will go on and take a look at a reference of some type for that character. As a matter of fact, I think I might have done that for Lucius Fox. And in some cases, they will send you a link for a reference, and you have to look at it so that you are basically in that ballpark for that character. It is important because those animated characters are very specific, and if it's somebody that's character that's got a pretty wide berth in terms of, you know, its eccentricities and things like that, its tone of voice, the style of voice, the way it speaks, you got to have a beat on that before you, especially before you read for it. And if you book it, yeah, you got to be consistent, because otherwise nobody's going to buy it, because that character is already established. And if it's not a character that's been established, then, you know, it's wide open, and they'll give you a basic outline of the character and a description for the voice and the quality, and they'll give you some comparison voices of other actors. Here's how we'd like it to sound, sort of like this, and that's fine. But if it's an established character, this character is established. This character has been played by several actors already, so I have to get in that ballpark. I can't, you know, do anything. I have to know where I'm going before I work on it.
And I suppose, Tim, in terms of signing up as well for in terms of voiceover projects, in terms of that, I know as actors, when you get pitched so many roles of different scripts, you probably look and ask who's involved in the project, who sort of signed up for the project, who is the director, sort of stuff like that, what's the script like, before looking at the role. In terms of voiceover, is it different because you're not going to really meet your fellow castmates, in terms of, because you're all going to be in the studio at different times in terms of projecting your sort of voice? So is it just all about the script when it comes to voiceover? Does it really matter what other actors or who's attached to it? Is it just about the sort of script? Is it very much different to on-screen camera, where you're saying, right, you want to know if, say Michael J. Weiss is attached, or Wesley Snipes, or Jason Statham, for example? It's good to know these sort of things. Voiceover, is that completely different?
Yeah, for whether it's on camera or off camera, it does not matter to me. Okay. You know, you could attach you know, a Moses or wherever it is. I don't care who's attached to it. It is more going to be, to me, about the details of the deal that we put together for the role, as far as the agent and manager, and also the time frame, what the time commitment is going to be, and also what the part is. To me, it's about how it's written. The role's got to be written well for me to want to do it. I've turned down work a number of times because I didn't like the way it was written. Most of that has been on camera. So if that part's not written properly, or if the project is written really poorly, I'll probably turn it down because I'm not interested. Or if it's a role that I just don't like. It's more about the part than it is whoever's attached. If somebody's attached that I've worked with, great. If it's somebody that's really got a high profile, a big name, great, fabulous. Doesn't matter to me. You know, we're all in there doing basically the same thing. We all got to show up with our dialogue and hit our marks and do the thing. So it doesn't matter to me. What matters is what that role is, and how well that role is written, or how well it isn't written. As that, you know, so it's those are the two things that matter most to me.
And Tim, in terms of voiceover work now, in terms of obviously animation movies, is there a restriction for you in terms of voiceover work, in terms of characters? Because I know an awful lot of people delve into the voiceover work. They do movies, but also video games now is such a massive sort of thing, and some of these turn into video games. And video games are like animated movies in terms of all those sort of cut scenes as well, in terms of that, which is coming, and they gather such a big, massive audience for all the Xbox and PlayStations and all those sort of stuff in terms of content to start. Is that something as actors that you are open to now, or do you think to yourself, right, it's only animated scripts or video games, that's a different reality in terms of that voiceover work?
Yeah, no, I've done so many video games by this point, I can't even remember. I can't remember all. Yeah, I've done tons of them. So if they come across, I go ahead and do them. They're not the best financial package because there's no back end on them, but you know, the games are what they are. And it's a day's worth of work, or 2 days, or sometimes 4 or 5, depending upon what it is. They usually take about a year or 2 to complete, because, you know, that's how long it takes them to get them out. But I've been doing them since the 90s, and I'm still doing them now. I just finished one recently. That'll be out, I don't know, I think later this year, something like that. So yes, video games, sure. It's all voiceover. It's all basically working on the same kind of stuff and doing the same kind of things. And again, in those projects, a lot of times if I'm doing VO, I don't always see the character and what the character looks like. They don't always have an image or rendition of this character that I can sort of look at and say, okay, I like that. I did get caught once in that situation on a part that I did. For forbidden something, I don't know what the heck the name of it was. Yeah. I did the role, and then I saw the animation, and then I realized, oh my God, I just messed that up. I should have done something very different than I did for the animation. They put me in the booth, I recorded it, they directed me as such, but when I saw the animated character, I was like, oh my goodness. Oh, that did not work. The voice that I gave him, to me, did not match the character. That I'm going to try to avoid in the future. I mean, I just didn't personally like it. I didn't like it.
And Tim, I know it's a busy time for you now, Tim Russ, at the moment. Before we came on air, you mentioned about another project that recently came out in terms of that you're proud of, a sort of TV sort of series. You might enlighten our audience. I do believe it's on channel Peacock. Yeah,
Peacock. I just recently appeared on one of the episodes of Poker Face, and it stars Nick Nolte. And it's a really interesting murder mystery sort of story. I love it, kind of Hitchcock in its style. Natasha Lyonne is the lead actress in all of the episodes, and it's her show. It is an anthology type show, so each episode is different. This one is really cool. It has some really cool stuff in it. It's got claymation animation in it. It's got all kinds of crazy stuff in it. And I'm in basically the opening section of the piece, and then a few moments during the show as well. So I like it. It's already aired. It aired like a week or two ago. So it's going to be on the Peacock network. If you have it, you're able to watch it. Maybe you can watch it with advertisement, or just pay for it for a minute and watch. The series is very good. That I can say. The series is really, really good, and each episode is different. So you're not stuck having to watch a show arc, and draw it out and sort of, what a meandering and whatever. Each episode is like a little movie. So it's got a great pace and everything moves along. It's great. So it's a good show, and I enjoyed working on it. It was a lot of fun.
And I do believe, Tim, you've come close to coming to Ireland a few times, nearly there, just maybe 100 kilometers across the sea in the UK. And I do believe maybe in the bucket list for you to sometime near future to see the Green Isles of Ireland.
I would like to see the Green Isles of Ireland. Definitely. You guys have got some cool castles over there too. So, and I love that the medieval era of the British Isles in general. That's what fascinates me about that part of the world, is just the history involved, and the magic, and the adventure, and the fantasy of all the mythology and stuff that goes around it. I just love that stuff. So at some point in time, I'll try to get over there, definitely.
And Tim Russ, before we come back to finish on Batman the Doom that comes to Gotham, I suppose in terms, I cannot but ask you, and I know you might want to comment on this, but in terms of, we've seen Star Trek Picard come out recently, and the great Patrick Stewart, and reviving that sort of series and that generation to a whole new audience. And I know it's sort of different time frames, and I'm not going to go into the dimensions in terms of the history of the show, but were you hoping to yourself, or was it deemed possible maybe a guest appearance on Picard or something like that?
It was discussed. It was discussed.
Well, good job I asked.
Yeah, it was discussed in the latter part of last year. They were trying to work in a story point for my character. We didn't quite get there as that character, and I know that they have a couple of other shows that they're working on now. So, that may still happen in some way, shape, or form. But if they do that down the line, if it's my character from Voyager in some shape or form, they probably would not, they would probably keep a seal on it. They're not going to mention anything about it. So, it'd be top secret. But it would be great to get back on any one of those shows, whether it's my character or even another character. Could be very interesting, although I probably end up wearing a head full of prosthetics for that.
Well, I may have opened up a can of worms here this evening on air in terms of that sort of bombshell. Tim Russ, finally to come back with you, Batman the Doom that comes to Gotham out March 28. If you, for the final 30 seconds, you might enlighten our audience, all our listeners, why they should tune in to Batman the Doom that comes to Gotham, and what's in store for them. Are they in for a good hour and 30 minutes of their time?
Absolutely. That show is rocking. And the story, and of course it's Batman. I mean, you can't really go wrong. If you're anywhere near a fan of the franchise and of the character and that universe, you got to watch this and check it out. It's really, really cool. They spent so much time and energy making this project, and the effort put into it. It's worth it. Definitely check it out. I can pitch it.
On that note, from me, Jim Conlan, to you, Tim Russ, thanks for joining us this evening to share your time to talk about your role as Lucius Fox in the animated movie Batman the Doom that comes to Gotham. And do come to Ireland. If you do, I'll give you a guest tour around all the medieval castles. But for the moment, from me, Jim Conlan, to you, Tim Russ, stay safe, take care, and God bless.
Thank you. Same to you. Take care. Bye-bye.